What's up, folks? This is Tom's Trading Journey, Amateur Hour. Today we're going to go over drawing support and resistance. Taking a brief little look here, we're just going to look at it as these limits, these zones where it's just bouncing back and forth from. So where you think you might want to draw some of these lines, where you might find support, where you might find resistance, it's where you see the candles drop down, hit this area 3 or more times. There's no exact number. But you really want to use some higher time frames like 1 hour, 4 hour, depending on how you're trying to make these trades. To get a little idea here before we jump into a live chart, so this is not the first time we're looking at it. We're going to see here to the left, we're going to read it left to right. We got a breakout over here, created support down here, bounced up. Some resistance, bounced up a few more times, stuck around here, came back down back to support before it broke up, before it passed this resistance. It even came down here, did a little retest back up. Then over here we can see the resistance that was once here. This now support, how it's bouncing down and coming back up from here. But it broke through that support. Did a little retest indecision here. 1500, 1600, so that's 4 o'clock going into Asian session. That's a big move for Asian session. But then it broke through down here, created some support, resistance. This is kind of a gray area, just a lot of consolidation before it bounced back up here. We retested this resistance back down to support, and then it took off. So just to get an idea, it's where it's just kind of reacting in these areas. These areas are where you might want to draw a line, just to put it in your mind that this currency, it has some kind of reaction when it goes in this area, and it's up to us to try and figure out which way it's going to go. And taking a look here, things been kind of crazy right now with the election. As you can see here, this is a random move. You don't see a big drop like that and then a comeback like that. But some of this more recent stuff, I mean, we can see here, it's touched a few times, so we can call this a support, and we can call this a resistance right up there. And it's, who knows, maybe it reacts in this area a little bit, and then maybe it wants to kind of come back down here. We can see here we're on 1 hour time frame. When it got to this area, it immediately dropped. This actually was also when Joe Biden started to take the lead. Actually, Joe Biden took the lead, and it had this big drop. And it started to recorrect itself here as it continues this upward motion going this way. Now, trend lines isn't something we really look at, but it is one of my first few times, or just when I first started trading, it was something I looked at. We can see it's starting to get more narrower, so eventually it's going to break out of these zones when it maybe gets up out of here or below out of here. So we'll see what happens there, but we're not looking at trend lines. We're not doing trends. We're doing support and resistance, and trend lines is kind of overrated, I think. So we're looking here, back at some lines. You can see it reacted a lot down here, so if it was to come down, it's probably going to do something here, and it's going to have big reaction with that too. It could drop down even further. Eventually you start to see some of this stuff where you don't need the lines, but the lines make it cool, because then when it actually like reacts in that area, it says like, you know, I was on something. You can see it touched a lot down here. Some of these things I might not even call support or resistance. I just call them lines, zones, and just looking for a breakout. So if we even switch it over here to a 4 hour time frame, 4 hour time frame might hold a stronger relation. As you can see here, I mean, that was pretty close. We can move that down a little bit. Maybe keep that up there. Sometimes I even like drawing little boxes in these zones because it's got a lot of wicks there, a little consolidation over here. I mean, look at this candle movement there. So had that big jump up, little consolidation, jump down, a lot of wicks and indecision here before it took out. You can even see, I mean, back to trend lines again. Sometimes when you see these things, like I was saying, as it gets closer and closer to this is when you're going to get something that might be pretty big, like a big jump down. So hopefully something like this just gives you an idea of support and resistance, and just